Welcome to Amberg Acres. So our project for today is we got to get this tree cleaned up. I got to get it out of the way. I got to get the dirt or the branch piles moved, and then I got to get the rest of the sand brought in here and get this kind of smoothed out a little bit. And that's what we're going to do. From the last video, you remember I can't move these big trunks, so I'm just going to cut this off and roll it and put it here with the other ones. And yeah, we'll see how long this takes. I just got a lot of these branches I just got to cut in half and then stack them on a pile, and then grab them with the grapple and move them. So let's get started. You get the idea of what I got ahead of me. At some point I'm going to take those two big limbs and cut them off of the trunk. And then I'll just have the trunk to work with. And then the limbs, at some point I can just grab them limbs and drag them across the street and leave them sit over there until I feel like making firewood, you know. But right now it's still a little big there. I got to go a little further yet, a few more branches, and then I think I can just cut it off and drag it. So I cut another 10 foot off of this trunk. And you can see here, I'll get up closer. You can see here on this end, it's just a little bit right in the middle there that's rotten. Let's go over on the other end. So over here, it's a much bigger spot, and then it goes way out, you know, way out to the edge there. But this half of it looks good, where you could probably get some boards out of that piece right there yet if you know, cut it in half, and you could probably get some boards off of that. You know, 6-8 inch maybe. So then, looking at this piece, I left this knob here because I want to maybe slice that and see what that looks like inside. But this piece obviously is gone. This is dead. It's pretty much not even good for firewood. But this piece here, right here, looks solid yet. So I'm going to try and get, you know, a 10 footer or so out of that one. Maybe even a 12 that I can maybe get some boards cut out of that piece. And then the rest of it, as you walk up here, obviously it cracked on the way down. So that area is pretty much junk. But I think if I get, you know, before this knob right here, you know, and then I'm thinking this piece right here, I could probably get a little something out of it. You know, even if you can get a 4x4 or 6x6 out of that, that would be good for stuff for me to use around here for making stuff. I don't think the one on the bottom down there, I don't think that's straight enough to do anything with. So that's probably just going to be firewood. And I'm not sure what that piece up on top looks like there yet. But it tapers off real quick. There ain't much after you get into the trees here. So I'm going to take the tractor, I'm going to roll this one and get it over there with the other pieces. If you're wondering why I put the camera so far away, this is where my shade is, and the GoPro cameras do not work in the sun. If you own a GoPro, you already know that. So the more I can keep it shaded on a warm day like today, the better. So that's why the camera is way over here instead of up close. But you can see what I'm doing. So I'm gonna just roll this over to where that other chunk is. That wasn't too bad. You gotta wrestle with them a little bit in the sand. You don't have any traction, so the minute you push, your tires start spinning and you dig a hole, and you gotta just keep moving around it to get the right push on it, you know. But you can see, hopefully you can see that. Yeah, you can see that. That whole chunk came out of it over there when I was rolling it. So that whole that whole one side of that log is rotten, but the other half looks pretty solid yet. So we'll see what we do. That's down the road a bit yet before we start cutting those up or do any of that. We got to focus on this area and get this area ready for the pole barn. So I'm just going to slice this one up, take a couple of chunks out of here, and see what they look like. I know this one's rotten and whatever, but we'll get a couple chunks out of there, get them moved, and then we'll just have the tops over here yet to drag out of there. And I think at some point, like once I'm past the dirt pile over here, I can just grab that and drag it across the street and leave it for another day. Alright, so let me find my tape measure. We're going to check this log out here. Eleven and a half feet by about 26 inches. So I'm going to pull out my calculator. Eastern white pine, diameter 26 inches, length in inches, 11 and a half feet would be by 138 inches. That is telling me that log right there is 1,824 pounds. So I barely was moving it. I was barely lifting it. Now with the backhoe, if I put the backhoe on there, I think that would give me more weight in the back, and I would be able to lift that log a little bit off the ground. Using the grapple, you know, the grapple is as close to the pins as you're going to get compared to the forks. But that doesn't mean, you know, you still got the weight of the log out there, you know, 30 inches out past your pins. So 1,800 pounds, that's pretty good. So we're going to clean off these knobs and we're going to get it over on the pile with the rest of them. So I mentioned this saw before in my video from last winter there when I cut those trees down. I like using this saw because it's much lighter. I don't have to sit there and try and start it. That big saw is a great saw, the Husqvarna 20-inch bar. Great saw for cutting these trunks and stuff, but it starts hard. And it starts hard because I don't use it much. It sits in the garage, you know, all year, and then you want to use it and it starts hard. But once it's running, it runs fine and it cuts great. So don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with that Husqvarna. But it's heavy, you know, it's heavy and it takes a little bit of lift to get it. So I use this Milwaukee whenever I can. I limbed this whole tree out with it. And I use two batteries, two 5-amp-hour batteries. I have 4 of them, so I still have 2 left, and one's on the charger right now. So it really isn't an issue. By the time I'm done with this tree today, I don't need to cut any more trees. You know what I'm saying? If you're a logger, yeah, this probably ain't for you. But for me doing this kind of work, this thing is my go-to saw these days, and it's getting beat up. I drove over it the other day with the tractor again and broke this handle off for the second time, or your chain lock, whatever you call it. But on this type of saw, you don't really need that chain lock because it stops as soon as you let off the button, you know, where the other saw is still running. So this, I don't know. I'm not going to say it's meaningless, but it's for a guy like me, I've never used it. I've never used it. I don't use it on the big saw either, because usually when I'm done cutting, I shut the saw off. So, you know, it's to each his own. You know, it's a safety thing, and that's why it's there. But okay, we're gonna take this log. I know I can't really lift it, but I'm gonna move it a little bit so that I can roll it back over there with the other stuff. That one looks like it's solid all the way through. So that's a good piece, and I think that little piece on top there is going to be a good piece yet. Well, once I got it balanced, I mean, it didn't move too bad. Like I say, with the backhoe on there, that would give me a lot more counterweight. So I was able to pick that up and move it. So that's pretty good if you ask me. I'm happy. I would on a flat surface, on a nice flat level ground or driveway or whatever, I would be able to pick that up and set it on a sawmill with this tractor. All right. I'm gonna keep cutting. Not sure how to tackle this one because it looks kind of bad the way it's sitting right now, but we'll get it. I got the limbs off okay, but now I got the saw pinched trying to get these two where it's cracked there. It's kind of going the wrong way than I think it's gonna go. Like I said, she wasn't going the way I wanted her to. That's a lot of weight right there, just that little piece. I think that chunk right there is big enough to hang on to, and the rest of it's just branches. So it's grapple time. Alright, well, I think it's time for a lunch break, and then when we come back we'll just clean up as much of this stuff as we can. I really only need to get it out of my way so that I can work here and get this pole barn going. All, like I said on the last video, all them logs over there, they're well out of my way. I don't need to move any of that stuff. So just a matter of cleaning up some piles here. Okay guys, I think that's gonna be it. Got everything cleaned up. I hauled in some sand, but I'm about 10 feet short of where I need to be there. I need to bring in some more sand. But I can do that anytime. I can just run over there and get some more sand and bring it over. But basically the barn is going to go from between the pole to the dirt pile there, and that's about where it's going to sit. So if you like these videos, give me a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.